Hey, what's up guys? It's Mark here of Driver67. So today is going to be a 6-year long-term review of this 2018 Mazda CX-5. It's a GT model. It's fully loaded. I bought it since, let's just say brand new in 2018. So 6 years old. It's out of warranty right now. I'm going to talk to you guys about everything, the experience of the vehicle. So mechanically that's wrong, or electronically if there's something goes wrong, cosmetically what's the issues to work with. And generally, just 6 years and what issues I come up with here. I'm not the nicest driver, or don't treat my vehicle really nice. Maintain it well, but I do drive it extremely hard too as well, more than a typical person should, and more than its design limits for the most part too as well. So let me talk to you guys about this Mazda CX-5. So it is 140,000 kilometers. And this is going to be like a handheld video format there. I'm just going to walk you through the issues I have. Now, cosmetically, so this is just a paint protection film for the front there. It only covers like a front maybe 12-inch or so here. So rock chips wise in Canada, this is driven in Alberta by the way, so it goes through really harsh winter times and also really hot summers. Today is going to be the plus 30 degrees Celsius. Last 2 weeks has been plus 30, so it's pretty darn hot. So all these white specks here that you see there, that's rock chips. There's no rust on the rock chips, which is nice, but I do use paint sealant fairly often. So sometimes if it's a rock chip, put a paint sealant over it. So I put paint sealant maybe every 4 to 6 months. So all these rock chips here, I'm just looking really closely if there's any rusty rock chips. There's none, actually. Nice. Even the fender right here as well, there's some rock chips on the side here. Other than that, paint-wise, A-pillar. So if you guys get a CX-5 brand new vehicle or something like that, just make sure you cover the A-pillar there as well. Maybe get the full front, right? Do I have any regrets getting partial? I think so. I kind of regret having a partial paint protection film there. Next vehicle I'm gonna get full front, right? No expense spared there. So let's talk to you guys about cosmetics. Well, someone backed into me at parallel parking. So someone backed into me and kind of cracked the grill here. So I'm gonna get that fixed hopefully sometime this year. It's like almost 2 years ago and that cracked already. So pretty lazy, hey? I'll replace it, I'll fix it. But the radar still works. Again, this is a GT package, fully loaded. And interior and exterior headlights, lights in general. All the lights work really well. I don't have to replace any bulbs yet, which is nice. And all right, so this is original wheels. I do have a winter wheel set. Okay, now let's talk about one of the issues here. Power tailgate. One of the power struts failed this side, I believe. There's instructions on the description below on how to replace it. And so one of them failed, and then the trunk doesn't really open. You just push the button, it opens like partially and stops. So for me, at least, it's the right side that failed. I replaced that. It's been working well ever since, but this side feels like when it opens and closes or in operation, there's a little bit of rattling sound, like something loose in there or something like that. Has been that way for maybe the past 1-2 years, I would say, for this strut here. I'm assuming that's gonna go. Those are really expensive. I don't remember the price, but they're really expensive. So replace that and everything else in the trunk. Now, one thing I don't like, it's a personal pet peeve there, but from factory, these little toe tie downs, I use them actually fairly often in the wintertime. Recover vehicles, or get myself recovered because I go places I shouldn't, which I'll talk to about in a second there. But brand new, they don't have this towing eyelet, and this one here too as well. So I have to purchase those separately. For the tail lights, right? So these plastic do scratch fairly easily. So if you want to clean it, you could have like maybe a pressure washer to wash off any loose dirt before you start using a cloth or a brush to clean it off there. I'm not sure if I mentioned, every 3 to 6 months I put paint sealant on the paint there. So paint wise actually looks pretty good. You don't really see hardly see any scratches really. So just keep doing paint sealant. I haven't polished the car before yet, so yeah, just paint sealant, and it did a pretty good job. I'm not sure what these are here. I think it's tree sap or some other chemicals that's landed on it, but these things here doesn't come out anymore. So I think it went through the paint sealant and went through the clear coat, so unable to get this out anymore here. Not sure when, actually about 2 years ago that happened. And then blind spot monitoring sensors are located in the bumper. No issues with that. Of course, sometimes you get some false readings or whichever there, but on the most part there, they are still functional. So lane keep assist systems right here, they're still working really well. Radar cruise control is still working really well, so it hasn't really changed since even after warranty. So which is nice, because more electronics usually is more chances of issues or problems that has to be fixed. But those systems are working really well. Now onto the engine bay here. There's some issues with it. So 2018 and up, I believe that's when 2018 they have a slightly different engine where you can run it on 2 cylinders, just to be a little bit more fuel economical. So what happens is I have some issues, which I'm gonna play a short clip down below here, or I'm gonna play a short clip right now, so that way you can hear what the issue is. So the issue is something to do with a valve lash, I believe. So those have been replaced under warranty, which is nice. In the hot days, they don't have that sound, but after it's replaced, there is no issues ever since. Maybe it's updated valve lash systems there. So yeah, other than that, engine bay wise, nothing really to report. Oh yeah, the factory battery sucks. They only last 2 years for the factory one. So get an aftermarket one, but I believe factory warranty does cover 3 years. Those batteries don't really last in Canada, like the brutal Alberta cold, and the heat there just wears the battery so fast. Other than that here, check engine light. I'll explain later on as to what the issue is. But other than that, mechanically, the engine mounts, there's no leaks on it yet. I checked most of the mounts, it looks pretty okay. AC system still works. Oh yeah, if you're wondering, I have a little heat shield above here, so it's to reflect the heat during the winter time. Probably not the best for hot days, but you know what? It's gonna work well for the winter time to keep the heat in. Okay, suspension wise, there's still stock suspension, but I have to replace it. So the front right top head for the strut, so top head right here, there's some clicking sound when you turn the steering wheel, and even some bumps, there's some clicking sound up here. So I gotta replace these guys here. Ride quality for the street, it's okay. It's pretty nice actually, I think, on the street. A little bit more on the sporty side, I would say. But the last maybe 1 to 2 years, that's where I noticed the dampers kind of, the damping rates is kind of faster. So it's not leaking in any of the shocks there. But I felt, in my opinion, that the damping has degraded a little bit. So I gotta upgrade those to Bilstein's B8 because I do some off-roading while I drive fairly fast off the road too as well. And so there's some rapid bumps that the suspension doesn't do well in holding the uneven terrain or the bumps there. So if you take a corner fast and hit some rapid bumps, it feels like the wheel is skipping off, and the vehicle's stability is not as good. So hopefully the Bilstein B8s can help a little bit there. Brakes wise, so the front brake pads, I just replaced the brake pads only. Oops, and get out of here. So I replaced the brake pads only just recently. Again, 140,000 kilometers. I would say mostly highway driven. The brake rotors, yes, I didn't replace it. You should replace it, but I chose not to, okay? So give me a break. Now the back brakes, those have been replaced to, I would like to say 40,000 kilometers ago. Yeah, so the back brakes tend to wear out faster than the front brakes. Electronic parking brakes, they still work really well there. Although I think that some people have issues with the electronic park brakes, but for me it's been working really well. TPMS sensors, the battery is still working fine, hasn't replaced the battery yet, so I don't think it has too many years left. It probably have like maybe 2 years at tops before you have to replace the batteries. And other than that, yeah, no leaks on the shocks there, but I felt that the ride quality has degraded. Here, corrosion wise, so the backs usually get more corrosion. This is surface. So Mazda, and I took a look underneath the vehicle here. Let me put the camera underneath. So yeah, you don't really see like strong corrosion right here. And this is Alberta, so there's lots of snow, but they have been using less and less salt over the years. So maybe on top here you can see a little bit of corrosion. But yeah, nothing serious. Not a ton of salt here, so they've been reducing salt use over maybe like the last 4 years. So maybe the first 2 years when I'm driving it, there's quite a bit of salt in the winter time. But yeah, good thing they reduce it. I also checked the wheel bearings, put it in neutral, jack it up. There's when it's moving, there's no weird wheel bearing clicking sound like you're spinning the wheel of fortune. Also the suspension bushings, try forcing the wheel around, and it still works. The suspension bushing, I guess, apparently hasn't degraded yet. So 140,000 kilometers, I don't think the suspension bushing should usually last to 200,000 kilometers. But yeah, check all sides of suspension bushing, and the steering plate and everything is mechanically good. So yeah, do off-roading, and I drive pretty fast when I off-road. So paint-wise, so you're probably wondering about the piano black. So these things, easy to get scratched here. You probably can see it fairly easily with the sun's reflection. Best way to clean it, it's really hard because, well, everyday life, it's hard to, not scratch it. But I do my best. And yeah, best way to clean all those trims here, where else scratches easily. So piano black trims, the taillight, headlights also do scratch fairly easily. If you want to clean it, pressure wash it to remove any loose stuff before you maybe use a brush, cloth, or whatever way to remove all those dirt there. But those do scratch easily. Paint quality wise, I would say for the parts without the chips, rarely, I don't really see any easily identifiable scratches. But again, I do paint sealant it, never polish it. And paint wise, yeah, it's decent. Now let's talk about the interior here. So the back here, the leather material has been holding up really well. Can't say the same for the driver, which I will get into in a moment here. All the electronics work well, heated seats work well, air vents. Here, let's hop on into the back here. The power seats for both front seats there works really well too as well. Auto dimming mirror still works really well. The garage openers as well for these buttons here work really well as well. Interior lights, to say everything, no blown bulbs here, works well. Sunroof works well, no leaks, still works, yeah, still works. The motor still works really well. Okay, power windows, everything else still works. Let me take a look here. Defrosters, so the back windows and the side heated mirrors, they still work really well as well. And the door still sounds really solid when you open and close it. There's no leaks, water intrusion, anything like that. There's a lot of rubber seals as well. So it's like interior one, and then it's like exterior rubber seal. So yeah, see, it's like one rubber seal here, two rubber seal. So it's kind of like double sealed for the most part here. So no water leaks into the cabin, which is nice. And again, piano black, these things here, yeah, you could probably see here, this is actually all scratches. You can't clean this off here. But you know what, if you go camping or whatever, if you go off-road, it's always dust and sand would try to get into the cabin. See, I tried to clean it, but still there's some dust right here, and all those are pretty abrasive, and to clean it off, it's tough to clean it without scratching the car. Sound system works really well still from Bose. I got an MX-5 as well with the Bose sound system, but the calibration for the CX-5 Bose sounds way better. So for the Bose, even at higher volumes, the bass, just the treble, the clarity, just yeah, also the bass is like, it works really well. Soft bass, mid bass, and high bass as well. And yeah, you know what? I love it. That's one of my favorite things. Get in a vehicle, blast your favorite music, and interior wise, okay. So again, the door. Oops. Sure, squirrel. The door still sounds pretty solid when you open and close, which is nice. 6 years old, after warranty. I believe one of these things here, I have to tighten up. It loosen up a little bit there. I just tighten it up, no big deal. Okay, so of course piano black gets scratches. Door locks still work really well. Mirrors work well. Oops. You know what? Let's talk about the driver's seat. So the driver's seat's the one that the leather appears to have the most wear. So of course you get in and out, and the seats get used the most. So you see those little, crinkles right here. And I do protect the seats by using Armor All Protect. Don't use Armor All Clean because that's actually more like a stripper, and those doesn't work well with leather seats there. Unless you clean, then you protect after that. So usually I use the Protect, which is better for leather, it moisturizes it. But yeah, see some crack there, and of course the cushion just collapsed a little bit here. I think that happened about, it's had to be apparent about 2 or 3 years ago. Which is okay, but no big gaping cracks. So yeah, little crinkles right here. Yeah, other than that, the seat works well. So those are the parts that shows the wear. Every other seat's fine. All right, let's hop on into the driver's seat here. All right, so yeah, AC still blows cold, which is nice. It's as strong as the first day, so AC that hasn't changed at all. All the heated seats, heated steering wheel works well. My personal preference for heated seats, I wish, not heated seats, the heated steering wheel. I'm not sure if you guys tried it before, but with it on, right, the heat actually comes on for like maybe a few minutes, and after that stop for 30 seconds, then comes on again. So it doesn't constantly stay on, which I do not like. I wish it constantly stays on. It will work way better. So check engine light, this check engine light, I left it on for maybe a year and a half. So what it is the code saying that the catalytic converter is inefficient. Well, still under warranty, so that's like a year and a half ago. They replaced the catalytic converter in the car, part of the exhaust, and then this check engine light is still there. So it's probably me because I put seafoam in it. So the seafoam maybe dislodged something and kind of clog up the cat. But they replaced the cat, so I'm guessing now it's the O2 sensor, the one after the cat, that needs to be replaced. So it should be working fine. It's just the sensors might be not the best shape here. It's probably me, so maybe you guys wouldn't have this issue at all. Gasoline wise, what gas I use, it's pretty cheap gas, so yeah, so it's probably not the best gas as well. Steering wise, actually let's see here. Oh yeah, some interior cosmetic wear and tear. See this little chrome bits here, they're kind of like crinkled up a little bit there, so that's what I noticed for the wear. Other than that, the rest of the chrome, oops, right here, let me move the camera around. It's right here as well, crinkled up a little bit. Of course, lots of scratches right here. You try your best, but if you do off-road any dusty environment, that's gonna get messed up real quick. So screen-wise, the way the sun is, you can't see right now. On the surface, there's some, I don't know, maybe think of it as like a paint clear coat. The top layer is kind of like a little bit messed up already. Again, you can't really see it right now. It's not obvious most of the time in most driving conditions, but you can see like in certain lighting that the top layer of the screen is kind of like worn out in a sense, so like some smears or something like that. Yeah, and also probably my fault as well because I use glass cleaner. It might be more abusive towards plastic. So yeah, not sure what's the best way to clean it, but maybe it's just part of the wear and tear. So oil changes has been done on time or earlier for the most part there. What else can I tell you? Wipers all work really well. Controls work well. Let's see if there's any. I thought there's some wear and tear on the chrome here, but it's not. So leather condition is pretty good. There's no obvious wear marks here or damages on the steering wheel. Shift knob, leather boot here is fine. Armrest as well. It's of course it's synthetic leather. It's not real leather. Still works really well here. Maybe a slight crinkle on the passenger side seat here. And interior, I know the sun is kind of beating up against it. Here, let me try to get into the shade here. So there are no cracks on the armrest. Again, I do use Armor All Protect fairly often, so that protects some of the interior. I probably use Armor All. Hey, actually, you know what? If you feel here, there's a little depression. That's where my elbow usually sits. So yeah, I can easily feel a depression. So the cushion does, degrade over time and collapses. Cushion for the seats there, I don't feel any difference though. Nothing to point out. Doesn't feel like the cushion is like collapse here. Looks like it has, but doesn't feel like it has. No, still feels pretty alright there. So engine drivetrain performance, feels like the power is still all there, but you never know, maybe some small changes or something like that, but it still feels good for the power there. So no changes on that part. Fog lights, yeah, it's still working. So this is actually just mostly dirt here. It's not rust. So corrosion wise, I think I mentioned winter driven as well, in the -30, some salt. So, those little sheet metal like this one here, the brake dust shoe, some rust. And then let me stick my camera in there. Nothing too serious, in my opinion, at least. And I went under the vehicle to check it as well. I don't see anything, alarming. This is all typical, rust there, brake calipers, that surface rust. Let's take a look underneath here as well. The coil spring is not rusty. I checked some of the shock bolts as well. It still looks pretty okay. And in winter time, when I do wash the car, I do put the pressure washer underneath and try to rinse out as much salt as I can there. So you might not be able to see it here. This camera is probably not the best for close-ups. Let's take a look here. So shock tower, or the shock body itself there, you can see a little bit of rust here. This is nothing too deep, and doesn't appear that any of the rust on it has degraded the structural integrity of the material. And rust-wise on the body itself there, if you rinse it, periodically in the winter time, it's fine. There's no rust in the tailgates. Some vehicles sometimes they show like on the edges will start to rust. Nothing where the painted surface are. Yeah, I showed you guys earlier as well where all the rock chips are. It's not rusting, but I do say put paint sealant on it, so it might just be an additional layer of protection to prevent rusting. But yeah, sheet metal, everything's lined up. The gaps still lined up here, fairly even. No rust on the edges. Oh, well, maybe on this side here. Looks like a rock chip hit bullseye right there. And then, of course, if I put paint sealant, it doesn't get down here because it's just all on the surface. So yeah, that's the only surface rust that I can see right now. Let's slowly review. There should be some like small surface rust on the A-pillar. I thought I remember seeing that. I don't see that right now. Here, this side seems to be the more... Oh, there you go. So a few here. Nothing too serious. Again, it's like rock chip surface. Doesn't really seem to be spreading. Yeah, it doesn't seem that any of the rock chips has spread in, or the rock chips have spread any like corrosion underneath the paint here, which some vehicles do exhibit. But this, let's say the paint is pretty okay. It's just on the thinner and softer side for sure, so it chips easily. Let's talk about some of my personal preferences. So this one is an all-wheel drive, but if you're doing off-roading and one of the wheels is up in the air or not in contact with the ground properly, the rest of the three wheels is not going to pull you out easily. If you get really, I'm not supposed to really take this out off-roading. It's not meant to be an off-road vehicle. But yeah, sometimes adventures calls and you head out to places where your vehicle is not supposed to. Yeah, there's some cracks on the, I think, the front bumper somewhere, maybe on the other side there, the front bumper. There's a little crack right there, but that's, I took it up to some, I would say Jeep territory, and a little road vehicle like this. I should say this is more like a on-street all-wheel drive system. Anything off-road, it's not gonna work out. Although I hear the newer models, they did change something, so the algorithm, so they actually lock up a wheel that's like spinning freely in the air, so it actually sends power correctly to the rest of the wheels. So this is like kind of like the first generation all-wheel drive. Unfortunately, not as good if you want to take it off-roading or explore some really backcountry stuff there. It's just not gonna cut it. Another mechanical thing I thought about, it's probably my fault there. Although when my father came here, he driven the vehicle, he said, oh, you know, I heard some sound from the differential. And then, yeah, Mazda replaced it under warranty. But I think the differential is my fault, because if you guys seen some of my videos, I pull a fuse out so that way it engages all-wheel drive, so I can drift the car, and also turns off the dynamic stability control, so that way you can drift this on the ice there. So it's really fun. But there's quite a few moments where it has an indication on the dash says like all-wheel drive, high load, right? So I'm assuming it's overheating, and I still keep driving it. So yeah, it's my fault. So don't do that. Probably don't pull the fuse out to drift the vehicle around. That's all I can say, really. So to replace it, it's been working well ever since. Okay, so now the plastic trims here, I mean, it's still okay. Of course, it seems lighter in color. I don't really maintain it. I do put paint sealant over it there. No cracks on it, but of course it does show some age there. Again, I'm not sure what's the best way to protect those, nor do I really care about those there. Oh, this is something new there. Just noticed that, probably a clip. Yeah, so a little gap right here. Again, it's my fault. I do take it off-roading, pretty harsh gravel terrain. It looks like the same on this side too as well. Maybe it's just the way it is. Another something that's my personal preference is the HVAC system. I used to have a 2007 Mazda Speed 3. The automatic climate control is awesome. You can set it at 21 degrees and it works almost like really well all the time. You don't even have to touch the temperature. But for the CX-5, well, I guess after driving 10 minutes, you have to adjust the temperature a little bit. It's not as well calibrated as compared to the 2007 Mazda Speed 3. Like the Mazda Speed 3 is great. It's say don't have to touch the temperature knob unless you drive like 3 hours on the highway or something like that. Then maybe you want it to be a little bit warmer or cooler. But the CX-5, I find that I have to automatic climate control. I have to adjust it a little bit more often compared to those. So hopefully the calibration is better than the newer ones. All right, for the seatbelt retraction. So seatbelt still retracts pretty okay. Maybe not as strong as before, but you know, it still pulls up the belt buckle all the way up here. Now, tire durability. So this is a 19-inch. This is the second tires for this wheel. I have winter wheel set as well. The winter wheel set one is pretty much done, so I have to change the rubber on those as well. So those winter wheel rubbers are, I don't know how much mileage I put on it. Summertime I do drive this less. I drive the MX-5 more. But yeah, those winter tires, they are since new, so it's like 6 years old. Yeah, they're 6 years old, so I have to replace those. The rubber is really hard too as well, so it really sucked really badly this winter. I think I used the General Ultimax series. So guys, that's as much as I can tell you about owning this CX-5 in about 6 years. And all the issues I had with it, and showing you all the wear and tear. Most of it's pretty common, some of it is user error because I'm, as I say, I'm not the easiest driver on vehicle. But yeah, guys, if any questions, or post in the comments, let me know. If there's any questions I can help you guys answer about my experience with the vehicle. Thank you very much for watching. This is Mark, signing out.